All right, for more of the elements of the game, again, presented by Nautica, let's go to Tiger Stadium where Chip Patterson, college football writer, joins us here on CBS Sports HQ. Chip, right now you're outside of Tiger Stadium, but give us a sense of what you anticipate it'll be like inside of Tiger Stadium and the weather, which may play a factor tonight.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is a lot of Georgia fans. We obtained video of thousands of Georgia fans that were marching down Bourbon Street. They're going to be bussing them in. I think that red and black will stand out. But what you're going to get here in Death Valley is a hungry LSU fan base that knows that they cannot give up another game and be able to keep pace in the SEC West. And yes, after that Auburn win on the road, one of the most impressive wins that we had seen in the SEC this season, LSU started to think of itself as, hey, we are an SEC West championship contender. And now already having suffered that loss to Florida, that close, hard-hitting loss, then this is going to be a lot of desperation and a lot of hunger. Again, you'll see a lot of red and black in the stands, but these LSU fans are going to be loud trying to drown them out.
You talk about Georgia, and I mentioned it before I brought you in here, Chip, about the competition, maybe lack of strength in terms of their schedule so far. What do you think Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs are thinking about going into this, arguably their toughest test so far?
Yeah, Tommy, I think that they've got a big picture mentality because it's not just this game. The next 4 games for Georgia are absolutely brutal. They play at LSU. They get a week off, then they go neutral site against Florida, then they go at Kentucky, and then finally, after more than a month playing games away from Sanford Stadium, they return home to face that Auburn team. Now, we don't know what that Auburn team is going to be at that point in the year, but our own partners at Sportsline give Georgia just a 19.9% chance of being able to go through that 4-game stretch undefeated. So I think that Kirby Smart is trying to preach some patience and understand that this is going to be a very long stretch for them. You don't want to expend all of your emotional and physical energy here in this first game. And that kind of patience is something that I think Georgia has because it's got a little bit more separation against the rest of the SEC East as opposed to LSU already having that one conference loss, cannot give up another game.
Chip, I want to ask you, we know both defense will be bringing it to Tiger Stadium today. What do you think is a more important matchup? Do you think it's the running backs or the quarterbacks in this one?
Oh, it's the quarterbacks, absolutely. And it's, pairs with the defense. Because one thing I have not seen from Georgia this year, they have not done a good job of getting after the passer. And last year when they had players like Lorenzo Carter, Roquan Smith, Davin Bellamy, they got after quarterbacks. And they have not really found that edge so far yet this season. And if Joe Burrow has some time, if Joe Burrow is able to settle in and connect with some of those great wide receivers, then that is going to make LSU's offense really, really hum. So, Jake Fromm, we've been looking at him. He's had his ups and downs this season. To me, the quarterbacks is one of the biggest storylines.
So we've taken a look at both Joe Burrow and Jake Fromm. We may see Justin Fields there in as well. I do want to follow up on Joe Burrow, though, when we're talking about, the hindrance of what LSU wants to do, whether they win or lose, seems to be on the right arm of Joe Burrow. We saw the good against Auburn. We saw the maybe not so good against Florida. How do you think he bounces back here?
I think that he's going to have a great opportunity. He's got one really, really dangerous threat, and that's DeAndre Baker, Georgia's defensive back who is among the best in the country. And so I think that we see him steering away from that. I think we see offensive coordinator Steve Ensminger sort of game plan that and figure out ways that they can get matchup opportunities with their other wide receivers. I think LSU's wide receiver room goes deeper than Georgia's secondary room, and because you can find some matchups, that's going to be where Joe Burrow might have an opportunity to find some success against a very good Georgia defense. And while Joe Burrow's completion percentage has not been great this season, I think it's important to remember the moxie that he brings, the fact that he thrives on these kinds of situations. We saw it against Auburn. We saw it against Miami. I think that he's going to step up, and he's going to be asked to make some really, really big third down throws, and I think he's going to be ready for that kind of challenge.
All right, so you think the quarterback battle will be more important, but they will be benefited by a good running game. Who do you prefer in this one, Nick Brossette over at LSU or Holyfield and Swift, that combination for Kirby Smart and the Dogs?
Yeah, I'm going to go slight edge to Holyfield and DeAndre Swift. They are really the key of this Georgia offense. And that Georgia offensive line is just, they got freaks. They're all like 6'5", 330, 335. And the way that Sam Pittman has them coached up, they are running that Georgia offense almost flawlessly. So slight edge to Georgia here. And that is going to be so important because Jake Fromm does not want to be in 3rd and long against this LSU defense. That is not a winning proposition for Georgia's offense. They need to run the ball. They need to establish the run and be able to set up Jake Fromm in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, play action pass, because so far the passing attack for the Bulldogs has not been particularly impressive. So edge to Georgia, but also a lot of importance that Georgia game is productive if Georgia's going to win.
So every time you got two teams in the SEC, specifically two teams in the top 15, it could come down to a coaching move or decision or a timeout that maybe shouldn't be there. When we're looking at Kirby Smart and Ed Orgeron, who do you give the edge here?
I'm going to give the edge to Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart has done a fantastic job in the last 2 seasons in some of these close games. He's got a good pulse of his team. He's got an incredible coaching staff. He's done a lot to be able to prepare Georgia for these big games. And because of that, and because of, we go back to the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma, some of those coaching adjustments, Ed Orgeron is gathering a lot of steam, and he's winning over a lot of fans with his showing with this LSU team this season. But when you're putting the two side by side, I lean Smart in terms of the edge.
All right, great insight there, Chip. Give me the elements of the game here presented by Nautica, the keys to the game in this one.
Element number 1, who establishes the ground game first? You got DeAndre Swift and Elijah Holyfield on one side running behind a great offensive line. But, man, do not sleep on Nick Brossette and what he can do, especially springing forth a big run if he's able to break a couple of tackles. That is, for me, one of the biggest keys to this game. Another one that might be a little bit overlooked and maybe even underrated, my second big element of the game, is special teams. We got Mecole Hardman. We've got an LSU special teams that has shown up. Who flips the field if in a game that I think is going to be decided in the 20s, who can be able to get what I love to call the hidden yards in football by being able to come up with the big special teams plays. My third element of the game is focused all on the Georgia Bulldogs. Are they going to be able to find that pass rush? It is the one thing that is missing for me from that Georgia defense, from being able to call it anywhere close to that elite level that they had when they were in the national championship game. They've got to figure out a way to get after Joe Burrow. They've got to figure out a way to make him uncomfortable. And finally, my fourth element of the game, we mentioned it before, it's the quarterbacks. I think this is going to be close. It's going to be Jake Fromm, who has wavered a little at times. It's going to be Joe Burrow, who has stepped up, but also his completion percentage is not something that makes you feel all that confident. These two quarterbacks are going to decide the game. Jake Fromm, Joe Burrow, I think that is going to be one of the key matchups that we have.
All right, before I let you go, Chip, one more time, give me a team. Who do you like today? Give me a team.
It's going to be LSU 27, Georgia 24.
You had to think about it. Good stuff, Chip. The SEC tour continues. That's our Chip Patterson outside of Tiger Stadium. Chip, thank you very much.